group of folks. Starting with my good friend, my colleague, Filomena Tassi, who has been such a champion for, well, workers as Minister of Labour, but also for Hamilton and Ancaster, Dundas, really just doing such amazing work. She also gave me the hammer that I'm wearing today, because I am from the Hammer, and that will stay tuned for that part. I'd also like to recognize Minister Mulroney. We've worked very, very hard to get to this place. So I really, really do want to personally thank you for all this work, because this is a true partnership to get big things done for workers, for communities, for cities, and for people. I'm Fred Eisenberger, Mayor of Hamilton. I have had many great conversations in person, sadly not today, but thank you for your leadership in Hamilton. Joseph Mancinelli, Joe, International Vice President of LiUNA. You and I have talked about workers and jobs so many times, and I know you just stand up for Canadian workers every single day, and that is just so incredibly important. It's important to the Hamilton, but it's also important to Canada. Phil Verster, President and CEO of Metrolinx. Phil, you and I have done many, many announcements. You have many projects. You're going to have to get back to work immediately after this announcement is done. And that goes for Michael Lindsay as well, President and CEO of Infrastructure Ontario. We're getting to work. We're building, we're growing our economy, restarting it, creating good jobs. And then we have some real champions for Hamilton. David Farrar, President of McMaster University, has done so much great work. I just love Mac. It's amazing to see how it's grown and contributed to the city for students, but also on the research side, and all the expansion that I see, which is really amazing to really put Hamilton on the map as a leading research place and cutting edge research, including on the greener future that we all need. And of course, Keenan Loomis, President of the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, representing so many institutions, businesses, a real champion for Hamilton, for our businesses, for jobs, for the community. Really appreciate all of your work. Before I begin, sadly, I'm not in Hamilton, I'm in Ottawa. I'd like to recognize that I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples. It's actually kind of emotional that I can't be in Hamilton today, because if I was, I'd be staying at my parents' place. I'd be seeing my brother and his daughter and just really enjoying so much that I love about Hamilton. It was almost 50 years ago, hard to believe, that I was born at St. Joe's Hospital in Hamilton. Grew up in the west end of the city, but I took the bus to École Notre-Dame, a school by Gage Park, où j'ai appris mon français. Je suis toujours très heureuse que j'ai eu la chance de faire ça. I swam at every pool in the city, including Jimmy Thompson. And I was lucky enough to go to St. Mary's High School, which was then on the McMaster campus. And boy, did I log a lot of hours at the Mac pool. But I had friends across the city, from Dundas to Stony Creek, and yes, I did go to Eastgate Mall. Probably shopped at Faces to get makeup or something. Hamilton's a great place. It's a great city that has a lot of grit. If I am tough in politics and have been able to survive, it is because I'm from the Hammer. I kind of like that everyone from Toronto wants to move in, but you're not going to change the city, just so you know. It's really a great city, and it's amazing to see that at the heart of the city is steel, clean steel from Hamilton that we are selling to the world, and we will continue to promote, because we need clean steel and we need Hamilton jobs and jobs across our country. But it's also grown. It's grown in amazing ways. It hasn't been a straight line for Hamilton, but it is a city that I am extremely proud to I represent Ottawa Centre. I've lived there for 20 years and I love it, but I'm very proud to call Hamilton my hometown. And Hamilton's going to continue to grow, and that is really what today's announcement is about. It's about Hamilton reaching its ambition, but also everyone succeeding, and of course, building a cleaner future with good jobs for everyone. All right, and a shout out to my mom and dad, because I hope they're watching. I'm sure they are. My dad will call me immediately after to tell me how I did. Look, it's been a really hard year. There's no sugarcoating it. But I think one thing that's come out of this is seeing how people have come together across the country. That includes right here in Hamilton. That people have realized that communities are what we make of them. And that as challenging as it has been, as tough it's been, people really have supported each other. And I really want to thank everyone for that. We are going to get out of this, but you got to get vaccinated and you got to follow public health advice. And as I say, I'm not in Hamilton because that's what I'm doing. But I've been focused, and our government has been focused on having the backs of Canadians, having the backs of Hamiltonians. 80 cents of every dollar that has been invested through the pandemic to support Hamiltonians, to support Canadians, has been through the federal government. That's to support individuals, that's to support businesses, that's to support municipalities, that's support community organizations, and so many folks that are really contributing to building our amazing country and our amazing cities. Since the start of COVID, I've been trying to get just shovels in the ground. That's what I'm about, getting projects built, creating jobs, restarting our economy. With the folks at Infrastructure Canada, and a shout out to them, we've approved over 3,000 projects worth $4 billion in the past year. Working really hard to get everything from new community centers to electric buses to renewable energy to new wastewater facilities and beyond to build up our communities. We also adapted our infrastructure program to create a new COVID-19 stream where the federal government steps up and funds 80 cents of every dollar to help Canadians live through COVID, which included in Ontario working with the province to ensure better ventilation in schools, because we need kids back in schools safely, and also better ventilation and measures to protect our seniors in long-term care homes. Today, we're here to talk about a historic investment in Hamilton's shovel-ready transit project that will benefit this community for generations to come. But I want to put it in context. Today's announcement is the third public transit announcement in a historic deal reached with the province of Ontario. It wasn't always easy, as Minister Mulroney well knows. We had many conversations. We worked very hard to get to a great deal for everyone, and that includes for the folks in Hamilton. Federal government is investing over $12 billion as part of the largest public transit investment in the GTA's history. The other two investments that we announced over the last few days included a federal investment of $10.4 billion in the GTA for the Ontario line, the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, the Yonge North Subway Extension, and the Scarborough Subway Extension. That's amazing for folks in Toronto, the Greater Toronto area, but I think folks from Hamilton are going to benefit from that as well. That means good jobs, that means opportunities for businesses, including Hamilton businesses. It also means cleaner air. It means that we're tackling climate change, and we're ensuring that everyone, and I mean everyone, including our essential workers and people who have no other choices, have access to good public transit. Just yesterday, we announced an investment of $180 million to purchase new streetcars in Toronto, but they're going to be made in Thunder Bay. And that is protecting good union jobs there. That was a critically important investment, a partnership with the province of Ontario, again, to keep a plant open and to keep workers working. And that shows that we're all in this together, because you have streetcars that are going to serve people in the greater the GTA that are being made in Thunder Bay. So you have Northern Ontario and Southern Ontario working together for good jobs and for historic transit investments. This is all part of a almost $15 billion announcement, commitment to public transit that I made in an announcement with the Prime Minister, who is a huge champion for public transit, in February. That's in addition to the $26 billion that we are already investing in public transit. The goal of this money is to kickstart our economy and create jobs at a time when we need to do that. It is also to tackle climate change and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, because we will get out of this, but we will still have the climate crisis to deal with. And it's to build more inclusive communities. But let me be clear. that as a condition of the GTA deal, which is great, the federal government insisted on a commitment to invest in the full Hamilton LRT line because Hamilton deserves great transit too. That's why I'm so happy to announce today that the federal government is stepping up with a $1.7 billion federal investment to support the full LRT line in Hamilton from McMaster University to Eastgate at Centennial Park. This is where everyone cheers. We're doing this in a partnership with the province because we recognize how important this investment is to Hamilton and to Hamiltonians. As I said, the condition of these investments are shovel-ready projects, and we have a shovel-ready project right here in Hamilton, ready to go to kickstart the economy and create good jobs. Because let's be clear, we're in a COVID recession. We need to kickstart our economy, and we need to create good jobs in Hamilton, in GTA, in Ontario, and across the country. That is going to get us going again. And when I look at an annual ridership in pre-pandemic times of 9.2 million people every year, this corridor is the most used within the city. With an average commute time of 32 minutes on the new line, this 14-kilometer line will have 17 stops, which will help workers, students, seniors, and families get to where they need to go faster, in cleaner ways, and in more affordable ways. Alors, mon français que j'ai appris à Côte Notre-Dame à Hamilton, le transport en commun est au cœur d'une reprise inclusive. Et ayant grandi à Hamilton, je sais à quel point ce projet est essentiel, ce qui rend cette annonce si excitante. Je suis très heureuse d'annoncer que le gouvernement fédéral investit 1,7 milliard de dollars dans la construction d'une ligne complète de TLR à Hamilton, de l'université McMaster à Eastgate au parc du Centenaire. C'était une condition pour l'accord avec la province d'Ontario. Cet investissement dans un grand projet de transport en commun prêt à être mis en chantier à Hamilton aidera à relancer l'économie et à créer de bons emplois. Avec une fréquentation annuelle en période pré-pandémique de 9,2 millions de personnes, ce corridor est le plus utilisé dans la ville. Avec un temps de déplacement moyen de 32 minutes, cette ligne de 14 km comportera 17 arrêts pour aider les travailleurs, les étudiants, les personnes âgées et les familles à se rendre à destination de manière plus rapide, plus propre et plus abordable. I'm a mom, and I've always said every single taxpayer dollar that's invested has to achieve multiple benefits. Multiple benefits in this case to the people of Hamilton. That's why, as part of the deal, we have a number of conditions that will maximize the benefits to Hamiltonians. That's everything from more affordable housing, which we all know we need, and we've been making historic investments, which I know Filomena will talk about later. That means making sure that we are doing everything to drive down greenhouse gas emissions and also take measures to protect the environment and minimize the impacts. That means ensuring that there are community benefit agreements so that we maximize the potential for local businesses and also local employment. That it means ensuring accessibility for all. We need to make sure that this is an accessible opportunity, that it doesn't matter who you are or what challenges you may have, that you can also take advantage of this great opportunity. And it's going to be awesome. I know there are some folks that may have had some concerns, and I'm just going to talk about my experience, because I actually have a lot of experience now in major public transit projects. If you look at the Kitchener-Waterloo LRT, and go check it out because it's pretty awesome, guess what? The tax base has grown substantially. And I think if you're the mayor, you kind of like the tax base growing substantially. That there was $3.2 billion invested in new construction since the LRT was improved in 2011. I know folks, have worried. You saw the same thing in Kitchener-Waterloo. People wondered about the impact, but the impact has been overwhelmingly positive. It has been overwhelmingly positive for people. It's been overwhelmingly positive for the local economy, for businesses, and of course, for tackling climate change and getting cars off the road. And I know there's some folks who say, well, wait a minute, I wouldn't mind something that goes up the mountain, or maybe I wanted to go to Dundas. Well, guess what? Look at what happened in Ottawa. We had phase 1 of the LRT, and now we are on phase 2 that's going north-south. There are opportunities, but you have to get things done, and you have to start somewhere, and you have to start with ambition. Final thing I want to say is to my colleagues, Minister Tassi and Bob Bratina, you have been such amazing champions for Hamilton. Minister Tassi, you've always stood up for workers, but you stood up for everyone, including people who don't always have a voice. And that is incredibly important because that is what our government is about. We represent everyone, including those who don't always have a voice. And let's be clear about transit. Who's most likely to take transit? People who don't have other options, who can't afford other options, or that includes essential workers. Often single moms, kids, young people, new Canadians. This is also going to help them. And to Bob Bratina, he is the fiercest champion for Hamilton and for workers. And I have seen him just focus so hard on getting jobs and protecting steel workers and getting investments in Hamilton because he believes in this awesome city. Look, when I think about this investment and this opportunity for Hamilton, you know what I think about? I think about years down the road where there is maybe a daughter riding the LRT with their dad, going to see a Ticats game, go Oski wee wee, and the daughter says, how did we ever get this built? And the dad thinks and says, you know what? We had this terrible, terrible pandemic. You wouldn't even believe it. For a year, we were locked down. Kids couldn't go to school. It was so hard. But guess what? People came together and they said, we're going to get big things done. We're going to restart our economy and we're going to create good jobs for the people of Hamilton and support Hamilton businesses. We're going to tackle climate change because we owe it to you. Says to his daughter, and we owe it to all of us, owe it to Canadians and to the world and future generations to tackle climate change. And this is part of the solution. And also, we recognized that we needed to have great transit because that meant that people had shorter commute times and they could spend more time with their families. This is a really great announcement, a huge opportunity for Hamilton. And I'm just so happy and proud to be here today. And one day I'll be back in the hammer. All right, I thought I would be short, but unfortunately, sorry, thank you for indulging me. But now I'm very happy to recognize Carolyn Mulroney, the Minister of Transportation. This has been a hard journey, I think, for everyone. But I think what we've learned, certainly what I've learned through the pandemic, is that Canadians want us to come together. They want all levels of government to get things done. And they want, as much as possible, it's hard in politics, to have it done with little drama. We have been working behind the scenes extremely hard with our teams to come up with what is a historic deal, as I say, for the Greater Toronto Area. But actually, I forgot. I forgot that I'm supposed to go to Minister Tassi first. So Caroline, there's your intro. But I'm very sorry about that. This is what happens when you ad lib. I want to, first of all, we'll go to Minister Tassi. As I say, she's a great friend. She is a great champion for workers. She's a great champion for Hamilton. And I know we have had so many conversations. She could not be more excited about today. So Minister Tassi, look at her. She's like, that's what I like about Hamilton. Like, we aren't about decorum. We're just like, yes.
Exactly.
Anyway, over to my good friend, Minister Tassi.
Well, thanks, Minister McKenna, for those the kind words and for this incredible investment in Hamilton. which we know is both my hometown and yours. Look, your love for this city was made very clear in the remarks that you have made this morning, fondly referring to it as the hammer. But I also want to let everyone know that your advocacy and support for Hamilton has been absolutely stellar. Whenever I'm in the House or at Cabinet or whatever, and I mention Hamilton, you're always there on your feet cheering or supporting. So fantastic support that you have given to this very ambitious city. And I'm really happy that your parents are here, your proud parents, because that means that you come to visit, and some of your family, your brother and some family members, because we always love it when you come back to Hamilton. So thanks so much for this great announcement today. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm participating from Hamilton, where I know Catherine would love to be, but isn't today, but will be soon, on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, covered with the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. So look, folks, a warm welcome to everyone. We are here to discuss a generational opportunity for Hamilton to seize, Hamilton LRT. What a great day for Hamilton. I am so glad that we are joined by stakeholders representing major employers whose institutions are the beating heart of our city. McMaster University, Hamilton Health Sciences, LiUNA, the Chamber of Commerce. You represent Hamilton's strongest innovators. The hard work of your workers drives Canada forward and is making Hamilton a leader in so many areas: health research and development, engineering, technology and metals, arts and culture, startups, and small to medium-sized businesses. This announcement will enable your present and future employers to get to work faster with less stress. That means that they'll be more productive and have more time to spend with those they care about and enjoy a healthier environment. You know, to say that I have been a champion of LRT might be understating it. I really believe in the transformative power of clean, modern, efficient public transportation. I think Hamilton's future will be built by capitalizing on clean, green technologies. Current generations are demanding great transportation options. Future generations, our future prosperity, will require them. From protected bike lanes to electric vehicles to clean electrified public transportation, Hamilton LRT is a key element of our city's prosperity now and into the future. As Minister McKenna mentioned, LRT is a shovel-ready transit project. It will help us create jobs and make Hamilton even more attractive to live. Not only that, building, running, and maintaining the LRT will create thousands of jobs and push economic development. Students and staff at McMaster, as well as Mohawk's downtown mobile classroom, will benefit from LRT. Seniors who want safe, secure, and reliable public transport system will benefit. Workers who commute to jobs along Hamilton's economic backbone, through which the LRT will run, are going to have quicker, better commutes. This is a generational investment supported by our Prime Minister. I can tell you that Minister McKenna and I, but especially Minister McKenna, has worked so hard to make this happen. Folks, we have 6 projects approved by the Prime Minister and Cabinet in Ontario, and Hamilton's LRT is one of them. What an incredible day for our ambitious city. And not only that, the federal funding for this project will require several conditions that I know are important to our city. We will require, among other requirements, community engagement on the project, as well as the construction of affordable housing, which everyone knows is a key priority for me. Thank you again, Minister McKenna, for making this a once-in-a-lifetime investment in Hamilton LRT. It's time for Hamilton to have its first LRT line. LRT is a huge step forward for Hamilton. I can't wait to see this project get started. Thanks so much, Catherine.
Yay. Well, thank you very much, Minister Tassi. I know how hard you've worked on this, and you're such a huge champion for Hamilton. Well, I guess I already did the introduction, Minister Mulroney, but once again, just thank you, because you don't get big things done without working together with provinces. And so thank you for all your hard work on this and your team.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with Minister McKenna. This week, we have announced a historic partnership agreement between the province of Ontario and Canada to support Ontario's transit priorities. And I'd like to thank Minister McKenna for her support for our priorities and all the hard work that it took to get to this point. We have been on a bit of a Zoom tour of Ontario, and I think it's fitting that we end our tour in Minister McKenna's hometown of Hamilton, which she loves so much. Today is an exciting day. Our government is investing $1.7 billion to move forward with the planning, design work, and construction for an updated light rail transit plan for the city of Hamilton. Under the terms of the deal, the federal government is a 50-50 capital partner and will also contribute up to $1.7 billion in direct funding, not financing, towards this project. In the negotiation with the federal government, every provincial dollar unlocked another federal dollar. We could not let a generational opportunity like this pass us by. That's why our commitment is now $1.7 billion for an LRT for Hamilton. The Hamilton LRT will extend from McMaster University to Eastgate, a 14-kilometer rapid transit line with 17 stops. The LRT will connect institutions and transit hubs, including McMaster University, City Hall, Tim Hortons Field, Eastgate Square, and the Employment Center in downtown Hamilton. We didn't get here alone. A key part of this work involved the Hamilton Transportation Task Force, which I convened in January of 2020. Each member of the task force worked extremely hard to find viable solutions for the Hamilton LRT project, and their report was instrumental in getting us where we are now. The Hamilton LRT project is shovel-ready, the kind of project we need to spur economic growth and alleviate congestion on our roads. Earlier this year, we reconfirmed our commitment of $1 billion for the Hamilton LRT project and identified it as our 5th priority transit project. Since then, we have spent countless hours urging the federal government to join us at the table as funding partners. We know that projects of this magnitude need collaboration. And that's why I am pleased that the federal government joined us to deliver Ontario's plan to build the Hamilton LRT and endorse our government's vision for transit in the GTHA. Le TLR de Hamilton est un projet prêt à démarrer. C'est le genre de projet qu'il nous faut pour stimuler la croissance économique et réduire la congestion sur nos routes. Plus tôt cette année, nous avons reconfirmé notre engagement d'1 milliard de dollars pour le projet de TLR de Hamilton et l'avons identifié comme notre 5e projet de transport en commun prioritaire. Depuis, nous avons passé d'innombrables heures à exhorter le gouvernement fédéral à se joindre à nous en tant que partenaire financier. Nous savons que les projets de cette ampleur nécessitent une collaboration. Et c'est pourquoi je suis heureuse que le gouvernement fédéral se soit joint à nous pour réaliser le plan de l'Ontario visant à construire le TLR de Hamilton et pour appuyer la vision de notre gouvernement en matière de transport en commun dans le RGTH. We have made multiple announcements with the federal government this week as part of the largest transit plan in Ontario's history. We've announced $12.8 billion in federal dollars flowing to Ontario's transit priorities. I'm very proud to have reached this partnership agreement with the federal government. It represents an endorsement of our government's vision for transit in the GTHA. As Minister McKenna has said many times in the last few days, we've had some challenging negotiations. It's true. Deals of this size are complex, and transit in Hamilton is the last piece of this puzzle. Many people were involved in getting us to this announcement, and I'd like, in particular, to thank Federal Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Dominic LeBlanc. Throughout these negotiations, Minister LeBlanc has played an invaluable role in advocating for all 5 of Ontario's priority transit projects and working to ensure that the federal government allocated the dollars needed to complete these deals. I'd also like to give a personal thank you to my friend, LiUNA President Joseph Mancinelli. Joseph's vision and commitment to transit in the GTHA and the Hamilton LRT has kept the momentum on these projects going. He's a great advocate for jobs and growth in Ontario. And before I move on, I want to thank a great friend of mine, MPP Donna Skelly. Her strong voice in our PC caucus demonstrates her unwavering commitment to deliver for the people of Hamilton. In partnership with the federal government, we are taking a historic step forward for the people of Hamilton by investing $3.4 billion together to get this project built. I mentioned our Hamilton Transportation Task Force earlier. One of their preliminary recommendations was that Ontario engage other levels of government to identify all potential capital funding contributions for a potential LRT project. We took their recommendation, and now we are here today alongside our partners moving this project forward. This vital investment in the City of Hamilton's transit infrastructure will improve overall access to the transportation network, help reduce congestion, and lower greenhouse gas emissions. This project will also create thousands of jobs during the construction and will help us recover from the economic challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. It is, quite simply, the right project at the right time. Cet investissement essentiel dans l'infrastructure de transport en commun dans la ville de Hamilton améliorera l'accès global au réseau de transport, contribuera à réduire la congestion et diminuera les émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Ce projet créera également des milliers d'emplois pendant la construction et nous aidera à nous remettre du recul économique causé par la pandémie de la COVID-19. C'est tout simplement le bon projet au bon moment. It's important to remember how we got here. Too many governments have been short-sighted when it comes to building transit. Our government understands the urgent need to build to accommodate future growth while respecting Ontario taxpayer dollars. Last December, the Auditor General confirmed that the previous Liberal government's plan for the original Hamilton LRT cost significantly more than the reported $1 billion. A project that runs billions over the expected cost may have been acceptable to the previous Liberal government, but it is not acceptable to ours. The hidden costs posed an unsustainable burden on Ontario taxpayers and informed our government's decision to update the project proposal. We believe it's important to deliver the right mix of transit infrastructure projects that will connect communities across Ontario for decades to come. Our strategic investments in sustainable public transit infrastructure will be essential as we prepare for growth in the GTHA. But public transit alone won't be enough to meet the demands of the future. We must also improve our roads and highways too. In our budget, we committed to investing in highway expansion projects. We're widening Highway 6 south from Highway 403 to Upper James Street in the City of Hamilton, from 2 to 4 lanes for about 9 kilometers. This stretch of highway is a significant trade corridor and a primary connection from the Hamilton Airport to the GTHA via Highway 403. And again, I'd like to thank MPP Skelly for her advocacy on transportation projects in Hamilton. Reliable, fast and frequent, rapid transit across the province's busiest corridors is the key to unlocking Ontario's economic potential and will attract labor and talent to sustain that momentum. That's why we developed our new subway transit plan for the GTA, the most ambitious subway expansion plan in Canadian history. Our multi-billion-dollar plan will transform the region's outdated subway system into a modern, integrated, rapid transit network that offers more options and reduces travel times. The 4 priority subway projects, as well as the Hamilton LRT, which our government named as Ontario's 5th priority transit project earlier this year, will connect communities to jobs, stimulate economic growth, and create desperately needed capacity on the existing network. We look forward to getting shovels in the ground on these projects, and once again, I offer our thanks to the federal government for coming to the table and joining us in making the Hamilton LRT a reality. In the coming weeks, officials from the Ministry of Transportation will engage with the City of Hamilton to move this project forward. Under this arrangement, all the capital costs are covered. And now we need the City of Hamilton to formalize their contribution to the ongoing operations and maintenance of the LRT, as always intended. Together, we will lay the foundation for job creation and economic growth led by the hard work, ingenuity, and perseverance of the people of Ontario. And again, we're pleased that the federal government is here to join us in making Ontario's transit plan for Hamilton a reality. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, Minister Mulroney. It's so great that you guys stepped up to join us at $1.7 billion. It's a great project. And now to someone who has championed LRT from the start, I want to hand over to someone who I know cares greatly about the awesome city of Hamilton, Fred Eisenberger, Mayor of Hamilton.
Thank you very much, Minister. And, I'm so pleased to be here today. It was about 12 years ago when I first put the LRT vision on the table, and it's been a bumpy journey, as most of these major projects are. But here we are today, I think, at a culmination of opportunity between our federal and provincial partners that is just outstanding. So I couldn't be happier. I see smiles on faces on the screen, and I know many in our community are going to be delighted that we are finally, hopefully, putting the final project together that can actually create the kind of benefits that you've all spoken to. So let me just start with some thank yous. Prime Minister Trudeau, every time I've spoken to the Prime Minister when we were able to get together through FCM and other opportunities, has always indicated strong support for public transportation and an indication that he was very willing to be a partner in future opportunities for the City of Hamilton to get the LRT going. And he's been steadfast, and I want to thank him for that. It has been a great lesson in terms of knowing and understanding what climate change is all about, what the need for public investment is currently, even more so now today than 2 years ago. And so that understanding and that kind of investment is critical for us today, and I thank the Prime Minister for doing that. Premier Ford, I know it was their government that made a change, but he, not long after, found a path to have a secondary look at the project, and he did indicate to me early on that he was looking for an opportunity to make this happen for the City of Hamilton, but wanted to look for a different financial model. And I think today we're announcing that exact financial model. And I want to thank the Premier for working steadfastly on this. He is both publicly and personally committed to helping Hamilton land this LRT, and I thank him for that. And today is definitely an indication of that commitment. And of course, our fierce Minister McKenna, when I heard you talking, I was thinking, you're talking about my life. I spent most of my youth in all the pools in the city playing, doing competitive swimming and water polo, spent a lot of time in the Mac pool, up and down, on the transit system, whether I'm going to Orchard Park down in the far east end in Stony Creek, a pool I'm sure you swam in, or I'm heading over to McMaster for one of our great tournaments, or Jimmy Thompson. I thought, she's talking about my life. This is incredible. So we share a common experience in Hamilton, and I think a common love for climate change, economic stimulus, the kinds of things that are necessary now. And, I might say, and I'm looking at a poster on the board here going back to 2015, Hamilton LRT is a go, Hamilton Spectator headline. I certainly might have wanted to have this happen sooner, but in retrospect, can't think of a better time to have this come together than coming out of a pandemic and needing to spur on our economy, both here and across the country. So, as one might say in politics, timing is everything. Well, on this one, timing is very, very important and key. And it's certainly a great benefit to have this come together in partnership with our provincial government. And I know, 2 fierce women, 3 fierce women, yourself, and then Minister Mulroney, that I think, unfortunately, the messenger in a negative way earlier on, but came to and found a path to come together with a task force to look at what are the opportunities for LRT in Hamilton. Is it just about transit, or is it also about transformational investments that can help spur on the local economy and be part of a greater GTA Hamilton network of transportation projects that can benefit the whole area. So Minister Mulroney, thank you for a great opportunity for you to come together with our federal partners, Minister Mulroney, Minister McKenna, Minister Tassi, all of them strong, fierce women that have come together and said, we can make this happen, we can pull this together, and together we are better off than trying to do these things on our own. And so thank you for all of that great work. I am just nothing but impressed for that effort. I'll go through a long list, but let me just talk about LRT and what it means for Hamilton. It is high order transit, and you're deserving of high order praise for having pulled it together. This project is going to go from McMaster to Eastgate, which is the original project going back to 2015 when it was originally announced. And although there's some bumps in the road, and there may yet still be some bumps in the road, we know what the value of this project is. The value is economic development, economic renewable and redevelopment along the corridor, new housing, affordable housing, higher density, the climate change issues on an electrified system is timely, and we know the climate change emergency crisis that we have declared is so significantly important, not only here, but right across the country. And so glad to have a government that's focused on making sure that the next generation can live and operate and function in a transit system that will improve our climate outcomes into the future. And of course, it is about people and connecting areas of our city that will stand the test of time today for 30 minutes, but also 30 and 40 years from now for 30 minutes. As congestion happens, and we know that congestion is happening in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, that locked in dedicated transit line will run at the same speed, in the same way, and handle much more volumes of people from one end to the other than we could through traditional bus transit. So nothing but a win. And of course, our partners in all of this, McMaster University, that has been such a staunch supporter of this. Can't say enough about LiUNA, and I think Minister Mulroney, you got it 100% right. I think the glue that kept this project going in many respects was LiUNA and their passion for this project, not only here, but in Toronto and in other places, excuse me, and understanding the value of the employment opportunities, so critical now as we move out of this pandemic and look for those new economic stimulus opportunities. LiUNA has been there all the way through. Whether they were prepared to invest or not invest, either way, they were champions that understood that this was of enormous value for not only the city of Hamilton, but for the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. And great champion in Keenan Loomis and our businesses in our community. And I'm looking at a poster, a very large one, that has some 200 logos on it of businesses that support LRT. That goes back a few years. But virtually all of the businesses in the city of Hamilton have been staunch supporters of making this project happen, because they understand that what's good for the lower city is good for the entire city in terms of growth and development. And 7,000 jobs. 7,000 jobs for construction in Hamilton for this LRT project is amazing. We would be tripping over and doing cartwheels if we found a company that was prepared to bring in 7,000 jobs into our city. We would move heaven and earth to make sure that would happen. And you've now been able to pull that together as a result of this great partnership. So I look forward to shovels in the ground. I look forward to continuing to work on a memorandum of understanding between our three levels of government so that we can get this project moving quickly, and that we continue to generate the kind of support that I know is in the broader community. I'll just hearken back to the election that the Premier Ford talked about, which was the last election where I garnered a significant amount of votes, largely based on LRT as a project. The opposing candidate had a different view, and certainly the LRT project came on top, and that has been the case right from the very beginning. When we do public polls and when we do public engagement on these issues, yes, there are detractors, but the vast majority of our population understands and appreciates why this project is so important. If I've left anybody out, forgive me, because there's so many other people to thank. But my thanks predominantly goes to you, Minister McKenna, Minister Mulroney, for pulling this together, and our fierce local advocate, Minister Tassi, that has been such a great champion for all things Hamilton. Very eloquent, very determined, has amazing tenacity, as we all have, I'm sure, and has driven this to a level of collaboration that we're seeing here today. So on behalf of the City of Hamilton, let me just say thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a win-win-win, and I hope that win-win-win will be realized in very short order.
Well, thank you, Mayor Eisenberger. Amazing words. Thank you for your steadfast commitment to this file. The good news is it's going to go on forever. Hamilton's so happy. Everyone here is so happy. This might be the longest press conference in the history, of Hamilton, but that's okay, because this is Hamilton's moment. Now I'm going to hand it over to someone who literally has been the glue, keeping this together, who has been from the very start saying we need LRT in Hamilton. He did it because it's good for jobs, and he represents workers. And unions have done so much to build our country. Gosh, we have weekends because of unions. We have safe working conditions because of unions. And they've contributed so much and continue to contribute so much to Hamilton, of course, but to our country. And we need to get our economy going. We need shovel-ready projects. This is one of them, and it's going to mean good jobs. But also, Joe is a proud Hamiltonian. And we laugh when we have our calls. We talk about what's going on in Hamilton and all sorts of things that, hopefully, Joe will have a beer one day somewhere. With everyone, you're all invited. All of Hamilton's invited, once it's safe. But anyway, Joe, I do want to thank you for your leadership on this and always saying we can get this done. We'll figure out how we're going to do it, but we're going to get this done. And I know you had many calls with Premier Ford to get this back on track. And obviously with me, I said we have the money, we want to invest, we need shovel-ready projects, and that includes in Hamilton. So without further ado, Joe, over to you. International, just in case anyone doesn't know, he's the International Vice President of LiUNA.
Thank you, Minister McKenna. What a pleasure to be with all of you for this historic announcement. I want to start off, first of all, by congratulating both Minister McKenna and Mulroney for your Tuesday announcement as well. I mean, that I watched the whole thing, and I have to tell you, I mean, it's so impressive to see the dedication to and the high level dedication to transit in the GTA. Much needed. Much needed. I mean, I think we're so far behind other countries that have subway systems in very large cities. And it's so refreshing to see both levels of government working together. And I know negotiations are tough. Welcome to my world. This is what I do. and so I can't say enough of how pleased I am that these negotiations have culminated in $1.7 billion from both levels of government, federal government and provincial government, $3.4 billion for a light rail transit system in Hamilton. Incredible. Minister McKenna, Catherine, I've dealt with you on so many issues, not just the LRT. I mean, we've had so many roundtables talking about infrastructure right across the country. Your commitment and passion to getting things done and to getting good transit systems right across the country and bringing infrastructure basically into this century. We're far behind. We need to catch up, and your dedication is doing that. So, Catherine, I'm so pleased that I've had the opportunity to work with you and continue to work with you on so many other projects as well. And I want to thank you today for your commitment to this project. $1.7 billion is fantastic. It will leverage so much work and economic activity in the city of Hamilton, but also in the region and far beyond the perimeters of Hamilton as well. I want to speak on that a little further as well. Minister Mulroney, I have to tell you, I've watched this whole saga unfold, and unfortunately, you were handed an unfortunate situation with a lack of funding, quite frankly, in the very beginning of our talks on the LRT. And I have to commend you on your courage, irregardless of the fact that we did not have adequate funding for the LRT in the beginning, to stay the course and put that task force together and bring it to fruition. So I want to thank you for your leadership here in Ontario on the LRT. We really appreciate, Carolyn, the work that you've done. It's fantastic just to see things turn around. And Prime Minister Trudeau, I have to tell you, I was thrilled on Monday when he made the announcement on the $12 billion as well. And Prime Minister Trudeau has been a champion right through the start on ensuring that, we get this done. And, it's great to see that kind of leadership. And regardless of the conflicts and the verbiage that sometimes exists between the province and the feds, it's refreshing to see that we put stuff like that aside in times like this when there are important projects like this that need to be done. And that brings me to Premier Doug Ford. That was back in the fall when he was here in Hamilton making an announcement with regards to training together with Minister McNaughton, the provincial Minister of Labor. And at that event, he basically said, we're building the LRT, period. And I love that kind of direct commitment to building this LRT, irregardless of whether the money was there or not. There was a commitment that we're going to do this one way or the other. And I have to commend all of you, Minister McKenna, Mulroney, Prime Minister Trudeau, and Premier Ford, for staying the course. And it's not easy, and it's never easy. I mean, these projects are never easy. Our folks here from Metrolinx and IO know that better than anybody else. It's never easy. It's always a bit of a roller coaster ride. But here we are here today, bringing this project to fruition. Mayor Eisenberger ran that last election on this issue and won. So it shows the commitment that he has. He has Hamiltonians backing him 100% on ensuring that this project gets done. And of course, my friend, Filomena Tassi, our champion minister here in Hamilton and Minister of Labor nationally. Filomena, I know that she's so happy today that this project is finally on its way to getting completed. And I know that she's probably disappointed that it doesn't go to Dundas as well. And I was a strong advocate as well to bring it to Dundas as well. But, we're optimistic people that there always can be another phase to this project to bring it to Dundas and of course, then a north-south leg that can go to the airport as well. So, there's a lot of ambition to get things done in the future, but this is a fantastic start. And let me tell you, I just want to spend a moment on the economic impact, because a lot of folks always think of this LRT as a rail line that runs 14 kilometers and it's got some trains on it, and the construction workers are the ones who are benefiting from the economics of this. So for every dollar that has spent on this LRT, which is $3.4 billion, the multiplier, the amount that it leverages is multiplied by at least 5 times. So we're not talking about 3.4 billion. We're talking about 15 to 16 to 18 billion dollars that it will leverage in economic activity. LiUNA's pension plan, our $10 billion pension plan, has over 1 billion square feet of residential and commercial construction already underway and being constructed in downtown Hamilton right along the line. And so it shows you that the private sector is going to be investing a ton of money along the route as well. And Catherine, of course, Minister McKenna spoke about affordable housing. LiUNA's affordable housing arm actually has, very close to the route, a project that we're working on to build affordable housing as well. So the amount of economic activity is going to bleed into so many communities outside of Hamilton as well. The amount of workers that are going to be required are going to come from outside of Hamilton as well. So the extent of this project, it has tentacles that are going to reach all over Ontario as far as Thunder Bay in building the cars. This is an incredible economic development play, more than an LRT, but it is a huge economic development play that will benefit McMaster University, Hamilton Health Sciences, St. Joe's, and all of the future projects that those institutions envision as well. And so we really needed this project. And I want to commend you again, both ministers at both levels of government, and Minister Tassi as well, and Fred, who stayed the course here in Hamilton as well, Keenan at the Chamber, and so many others who have stayed the course that we need to get this done, because it's the right thing to do. And we know it is. And years from now, and I don't care who takes the credit, and I know that a lot of folks have given LiUNA accolades today. We don't care about the accolades. We care about the economic activity. There's going to be folks in this community that are going to have pockets full of money because of this LRT. They'll be able to have a better life for their children. They'll be able to buy better homes, so the real estate market improves. And so the domino effects of what is coming is so positive. So congratulations. I'm so proud of all of you for taking hold of this initiative and bringing it home. Congratulations.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you very much, Joe. You've covered a lot of the incredible benefits. As you say, it's multiplier. It's not 3.4, it's way 3.4 billion, it's way more than that. So now to some really busy folks. We have Michael Lindsay, who's President and CEO of Infrastructure Ontario, to talk about this.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thanks everyone for inviting me here today to say a very brief word. On behalf of Infrastructure Ontario, I just wanted to convey how deeply privileged we feel to work on this project together with federal, provincial, municipal partners and stakeholders. As others have said, it's going to have such a resonant impact for the city of Hamilton, and we feel privileged to be a part of it. As the provincial Crown agency responsible for infrastructure build, we've got a lot of privileged opportunities right now. We've been asked to move steadfastly on a number of transit projects, and we simply couldn't have a better partner in doing that than our friends and colleagues at Metrolinx. Given the prior work of our teams, as others have said, this is very much the definition of a shovel-ready project. And this funding announcement allows us to pick up where we left off and continue our work. This is a historic and an exciting time for transit building in Ontario. And I can tell you that we have an unprecedented level of interest from market participants, both domestically and abroad, that are going to help us deliver these projects here in Ontario. We're mobilizing quickly to get the Hamilton LRT project back into the market for procurement. And so I'll say stay tuned for details of that very soon. But in the meantime, I hope everybody stays healthy, stays happy, stays hopeful. Enjoy your day, everybody.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thank you for being so concise. Now we are going on to Phil Verster. Sorry, Phil, I almost forgot you. Phil Verster is President and CEO of Metrolinx. I didn't forget you because you're critical to this.
No problem, Minister. Thank you very much. We are super excited about the Hamilton LRT project and that it's back and running all the way from McMaster to Eastgate. This is going to be a fabulous service for the residents of and the people of Hamilton. And as Joe Mancinelli said, this project is all about city building and providing also critical connections to the interregional transit networks and connecting Hamilton to the rest of the province. Now, what's so amazing about this project is how it will support Hamilton's future growth and economic development. And we're already aware of a lot of the development interest and activity along this corridor, and it is going to be truly transformational for the city. Now, the services, the transportation benefits and choices that it'll bring will connect to the HSR bus service, the regional GO, and the bike share program. And look, the fact of the matter is, as an organization, we've built fantastic relationships up in Hamilton. Those relationships and our partners in Hamilton would be great colleagues to build this transformational transit project to get Hamilton moving both locally and as a part of a greater regional transit network. We're very excited about all of this. Thank you and congratulations to everyone on this call again.
Well, thank you very much, Phil. As I said, you're gonna have to get to work after this very quickly. And now to some of the critical employers, people who care greatly about this project. We have David Farrar, president of McMaster University. Sorry, David, you're on mute. Someone had to do it. Sadly, it's you.
It always happens, doesn't it?
Always happens.
I'm so pleased to be here and to join you. Pleased to be here with Mr. McKenna, Tassi, and Mulroney, along with all the partners from the Hamilton area. I'd like to thank the federal government and the provincial government for this significant investment into Hamilton's LRT project. It will transform our city. Safe, affordable, accessible rapid transit is critical to moving people seamlessly through neighborhoods in a growing city. And for McMaster, these strong connections will link our main campus and the downtown core in critically important areas. The new LRT is so important. It will allow people in Hamilton to move easily from our main campus to our healthcare sector. And our connections with Hamilton Health Sciences and St. Joe's, I think, is also critical to driving this region. It also connects us to our continuing education programs at 1 James North and the Innovation Park. So the new transit line will allow our staff, faculty, and students to bring their knowledge and expertise directly into the city core and provide jobs and innovation to drive the region. As well, the densification along the transit stops will allow spaces for our students and staff to live and options to participate more fully in Hamilton's civic and social life, supporting local businesses and helping reduce traffic and improve the environment. As we move forward with our green campus strategy on our main campus, it means less parking spots and a return to space that's more naturalized on our campus. So we are truly grateful to the federal and provincial governments for this significant investment and look forward to seeing this reality. Thank you all again.
Thanks very much, David. I'm sure a lot of students, faculty, and staff will be very happy about this announcement today. We now have Rob McIsaac, President of Hamilton Health Services.
Yeah, thanks very much, Minister. Maybe I'll just begin by saying I'm very grateful to Minister Tassi for asking me to participate in today's important announcement. I know many others have done it, but I can't resist also adding my thanks to the provincial and federal governments, to Ministers McKenna and Mulroney, for this amazing vote of confidence in the future of the city of Hamilton. I think this transformational investment will absolutely positively impact generations of Hamiltonians. I think it's a great Hamilton story, how it got, how this announcement came to be today. And it's very much about a series, a collection of community leaders who did not give up on this project, who continued to believe that this was vital, a vital enabler for the city going forward and for the success of our city. So many of those folks are on the call today, and my thanks to all of them. I might also recognize the countless urban and transportation planners who've already poured so much effort into this project. This includes municipal workers in Hamilton, but also the team at Metrolinx. I have to say this project has some personal significance for me. I was the first chair of the newly created Metrolinx in 2006. And at that time, when we were drafting the first version of the regional transportation plan, the big move, we did the original analysis of the benefits of LRT for Hamilton. And ultimately, our board agreed that an LRT in Hamilton was an essential piece of transportation infrastructure for this great city region, Greater Toronto, Hamilton. It's also a critical part of the multimodal transportation system being built locally in Hamilton. So while it's kind of the crown jewel, there are many other pieces of the transportation system in Hamilton that will benefit and rely on this investment. So today, in my capacity as President and CEO of Hamilton Health Sciences, I'm very focused on the profound connection between our urban infrastructure and the health of our population. I'd say, there are very few investments government can make that all at once improve the economy, the environment, and the health of our people. But great urban transit is one of those investments. So I think today's announcement is very much a recognition of Hamilton's important role in our region today and in the future, and that our province and our federal government understand the importance of investing in great cities. So thanks all for the chance to speak to this exciting announcement today.
Thanks so much, Rob. Hamilton Health Sciences has also done such a great job in getting folks vaccinated. So thank you to everyone that is doing that. That is incredibly important to moving us forward, but also making the really important link between public transit, jobs, the environment, and health. That's really important that we see these things holistically. And last but not least, Keenan Loomis, who I know has been a champion of this, has brought together the entire business community, has been the voice for this through thick and thin. I know that you have some words to say about how this is really good for businesses and how it is supported by Hamilton businesses.
Well, thank you, Minister McKenna, and thanks for the opportunity to speak. Thanks for putting me last in this very long press conference. It'd be much shorter if we were all standing on stage, but I will be brief because the advocacy of our organization, the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, is very well known. For my board and our 1,000 members that have supported our efforts, this is certainly about development and jobs and new business opportunities. And it is why countless Hamilton businesses, even beyond our membership, have been supportive of this project. But I want to speak for the broad coalition of supporters of this project because this is about so much more than just that. The Chamber and the business community has stood beside the unions, environmental groups, anti-poverty groups, transit activists, the educational and healthcare institutions that have become our major employers, the student groups, and those representing the aged, because this promises to be a transformative project for the entire community. In addition to development, this is about equity at a time when not everyone feels welcome in Hamilton. It's about mobility, modal choice, and modernizing our long neglected transit system. This is the first and will be the spine of a council-approved 5-line, 25-year transit strategy called BLAST that will bring transit to every corner of this community. This is about meeting our obligations in a climate emergency and decreasing our city's over-reliance on the automobile. It's about addressing our underground infrastructure at a time when citizens are horrified by the exposing of our antiquated wastewater systems. It's about intensification when we're running out of space to accommodate anticipated population growth. It's about optimizing community benefits of this major investment. And my great hope is that this is an opportunity to address the affordable housing crisis that we are experiencing. It's also now about getting people back to work and stimulating the economy in the post-COVID world. And it is also about eventually getting to the Ticats games with my children. And finally, and most important, it's about what type of city we want to be. For the longtime resident that wants to see Hamilton finally get its chance, to the newcomer who has fallen in love with Hamilton, as I did in 2009, and who wants the city to live up to the potential that everyone sees all around, this is about bringing ambition back to the ambitious city. In this time and in this environment, the status quo is completely unacceptable. And 10 years into a revival with downtown renewal exploding, with plans for a new convention center, a refurbished arena, exciting things happening at McMaster Innovation Park, and now a $3.4 billion infrastructure infusion that will spur growth along its 14-kilometer route, we are poised for takeoff. I finally want to thank the politicians. Congratulations, Mayor Eisenberger, on taking a huge leap forward in cementing your legacy. Thank you, Minister Tassi, for never giving up on Ottawa as a key partner in this project. And finally, I want to thank Ministers McKenna and Mulroney for bringing your respective governments together to fund not just this project, but all the others across our region that are part of this massive and historic deal. This is exactly what Canadians want to see: solutions, not politics, and it augurs well for our province and for our country as we navigate the turbulent post-COVID world. So thank you, and back to you, Minister McKenna.
Thank you very much, Keenan. I actually think there's literally nothing more we can say, and I imagine that there are a few journalists who want to ask some questions, although I did think of one thing I did want to say, because look, there's a lot of people on this screen and a lot of people have talked, but there's a lot of grassroots organizations who've worked very, very hard on this over a very, very long period of time. Also, we've had city planners who've been mentioned, and a lot of folks who think about the future of Hamilton and how do we build an awesome city. And that has vibrant discussions, but in the end, we need to come together and we need to get stuff done. And this is a really awesome project. It's shovel ready at a time when we need jobs and growth, and we need to tackle climate change. We need to build more inclusive communities, and we need to tackle congestion. And there are all the health benefits as well. So with that, I'm now going to turn it over to Chantal Aubertin. She is my press secretary.